All right, everyone. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Getting set for Coastal Carolina. Obviously, an exciting game coming up this weekend. Coach Huff will open with a statement, then we'll get to him for questions regarding the game.
How's everybody doing? Great to see everybody again. Just a quick update. I'm sure everybody has probably already heard a little bit of the update, but JJ is doing well. Tremendous amount of respect and appreciation to our medical team, not only our in-house doctors, Marshall Health, Cabell Huntington Hospital, all of the EMTs and personnel that were involved in that. The first time as a head coach that I've had to, be involved or witness the amount of detail that goes into an injury from a precaution standpoint. I think our people handled it extremely well. I was impressed just by the organization, the detail, the communication that was going on from personnel to personnel. JJ is doing well. He's back with the team. In good spirits. All the tests came back in a positive manner. Obviously, our medical team can give you a more detailed explanation on what those records say. But he is doing well. He will not play this week. I'm a big believer, and it's very hard to see a young man get carted off the field and then come back and play 6 days later. I'm not sure we want that for our game. And my past experience with Tua Tagovailoa and obviously the incident that happened with him in the NFL a year or so ago, we want to make sure that, yes, we want to win. And trust me, I'm a football coach. I want to win. I want the best players to play. But these young men have lives beyond the gridiron. So he is doing well. Our medical team feels really good about where he's at. He's back around the team doing his normal routine. Truly appreciative and thankful for the blessing of him being safe, and then truly appreciative and thankful for all of the calls, texts, concerns, and prayers that go out across college football for him and his family. So really excited about that. I do not have an injury update on our guys. Obviously, they are going through the rehab process. Our medical team probably deserves a raise because they're doing a phenomenal job of doing the best they can to get these guys as healthy as they can safely in order for them to be able to participate in the game they love. Last game, Thursday, thought our guys played extremely hard. Really good football team in JMU. Hats off to them and everything that they've been able to accomplish. That's a good football team. And obviously when you're in those type of battles, you got to take advantage of the opportunities you get. We did not do that offensively, which put our defense in a little bit of a bind. I thought, when you watch that game, you talk about the hidden yardage of field position. I thought that was, a crucial deciding factor. I've never been a part of a game where you start 5 drives inside to 1. But that's football, and that's what championship games are about. No mojo lost, no kind of, it's doom and cloudy. When you look at it, we've lost 2 games to 2 teams who have a combined 1 loss, and we lost the game to a Power 5 team. Obviously, it's impactful, or it carries more weight because it just happened 3 times in a row. But if you spread those losses out across the year, everybody would be like, oh, that's a pretty good season. You lost to some pretty good teams. Obviously, we are not pleased with the result. We're not satisfied with just playing well against good teams. We got to continue to improve. There's a lot of positive in that game. There's a lot of negative. So we reviewed it, moved on. The kids had a couple of days off, which was probably better for their mental health. We talked about how this schedule laid out and having 10 games in a row, and it is a grind. They are prepared for it. They're up for it. It's cards we dealt. We got to play the hand at the table. So moving forward to the next game down in Conway, South Carolina, against another really good opponent. You're talking about a team that's been to the conference championship 3 out of the last 4 years, I think it is. You're talking about players that have won a lot of games in this conference. You're talking about a head coach who, although is new, has a lot of experience. His staff has a lot of experience, a lot of respect for Coach Beck and what he's done throughout his career. And I think if you watch where they are now compared to where they started, they are starting to really come on as a program in all three phases. So it's going to be a challenge. Just like every week, we're up for it. Our guys are excited, putting the plan together to go down and play well against a really good opponent. So with that, open it up for questions.
Coach, along the lines of injuries, you may have seen what, obviously, with Grayson McCall, they had to cart him off as well. They haven't said whether he'll play or not. How does that change your preparations for what happens?
We have prayers to him, and hopefully he is healthy. Obviously, you could take the competition factor out when those type of injuries happen. Our hearts go out to him and his family. Our medical staff and their medical staff are different, so every institution is allowed to manage injuries, the way that they choose to manage them. So we prepare as if he's going to play, just like we've done, ECU, we prepared for 2 quarterbacks. Virginia Tech, we prepared for 2 quarterbacks. Throughout the season, we always have a plan for, hey, starting quarterback, the next guy in, how does it change? Is it the same? So we prepare for both. They've got 2 capable quarterbacks, backups, if you want to call them that. They've both been starters and played college football other places. So obviously, just like with us, I'm sure they have a next man up mentality. I'm sure they have a plan either way, and I'm sure I know Coach Beck from our meetings in in the Sun Belt Conference. I'm sure he's going to make the best decision for not only Grayson's health but the best the football team, and that's his decision. That's their medical team's advice and all things involved. So we prepare for both. And as we prepare, we pray that Grayson's health is doing well or continuing to do well.
Coach, you had the quick turnaround from Georgia State to JMU, and then now a little bit of extra time here, kind of how to break it down, kind of how you went from Thursday night on up to game day.
Yeah, so because of obviously our bye week being a little earlier in the season, when we went out recruiting, it was still early in the season for some high school recruits and, getting to see some of them play. So we got an opportunity on Friday and Saturday to get out on the road recruiting from a coaching standpoint. Our players got a chance to get, a couple hours off when you really look at it. So coaching-wise, we were able to get out on the road and do some recruiting, see some of our commits, see some of the top prospects in the area. It's interesting when you get out recruiting because you kind of live in this, this little bubble of your own. When you get out recruiting, the recruits, the high school coaches, the people that we interact with are still extremely excited about Marshall and what we're doing. Obviously they know that, we've got to play better in the last couple of games, but they've been impressed with how we play. They've been impressed with our staff. They've been impressed with what we've done over the course of the year, over the course of the 3 years we've been here. So it was really good. It was really good. Got a lot of really good feedback, saw a lot of really good prospects. Got a chance to spend some time with, some high school coaches. Got a chance to watch some high school games. When you kind of go back to back to back, you don't really get a chance to do that as much. So it was good from that standpoint. But we also got a chance we used it kind of, usually when the bye week comes somewhere in the middle of the season. So you use that as kind of the middle evaluation. You look at your self-scout, you look at what you've done, you look at what's hurt you, you look at what you've done positively, where you need to make adjustments, who is improving, because this would be the area where typically we'd have a bye week. So now some of our developmental guys or guys who were not as experienced by reps would be able to be evaluated a little differently than they were, the first week. So we kind of took that approach. We evaluated some of the guys who have played but maybe not as much. Do they need to play more? Or some of the guys who are playing a lot need to play less or need to play more? What are we doing schematically that works? What are we doing schematically that's causing issues? What do we need to change? What do we need to do less of? So we use it as kind of a self-scout, kind of overview. I think you have to be careful when you get too far out on opponent scout because you can do a little too much. So you got to kind of stay within your routine. So we stayed within our routine and, we broke their game down Saturday night after the game was over, and we got right into our normal game plan week on Sunday.
Coach, you mentioned now that you've had a chance to see the film, there were a lot of positives and negatives that came out of that game. Just can you be more specific? What maybe did you like?
I thought for the first time our defense looked like what we're typically used to seeing our defense look like. They were able to stop the run. I thought they played aggressive. I thought they played physical, violent. We hadn't seen in that game as many of the explosive plays where the ball is just running through the middle and maybe someone's not in the gap or someone's not executing their technique. I thought we did better at that. I thought we tackled better, not great, but better. Our missed tackle number was down. I thought in some situational areas we executed really well. Obviously, the safety on the goal line is a huge, positive. Special teams, I thought they kind of got back in the flow. You really don't think about it, but we hit 2 or 3 punts inside the 10 as well. So I thought there were a lot of positives. Even offensively, what we were doing when we got the ball moving, I thought we did some good things. We played with tempo. We got some run game going. The first drive down there, Payne gets a chance to break a couple, which is really good. I thought as the game went on, we kind of got in a little bit of a situation where we had to throw, which makes it tough. They got a really good D-line. When everyone knows you're going to throw, it's easy to kind of pin your ears back a little bit. I thought they did a very good job covering in the back end. Not that our guys did a horrible job, but I thought they did a really good job covering in the back end, contesting some of the routes. But I thought there were enough positives to build on. Obviously, not scoring on offense is never the goal, but when you look at it, we get a chance to go down after the safety, and we get a chance to throw a go ball down there to Pierce. Well, Cam gets pressure and kind of gets stepped on by the tackle, so he's not able to follow through and get it out there. But the opportunity was there. That drive, we moved the ball with tempo really good. I thought with the guys that were out, some guys stepped up. I thought Payne stepped up and did some good things. I thought defensively, we played a few more guys, at linebacker with some guys being limited. They did some good things. And then the one that no one ever really sees is when you really start to lose starters. We were down 6 of those guys, 6.5, 7, because Eli was able to play a little bit, but he was limited. When you lose starters, you lose your guys on special teams. So now you're playing a lot of younger guys on special teams. So I thought some of the younger guys on special teams that stepped up, Leon Hart, Jaden Yates, some of those guys made some really big plays, on our special teams units.
You mentioned Ethan there, and he's been a guy that's been involved in the run and pass, at many points this year. What impressed you about his performance and stepping up into the starting role, and kind of where do you see his role growing from here?
Yeah, for us, Ethan is really good when he's situational, and he kind of knows the situation. For him to be kind of thrust into the full duties, I thought he handled it well. Actually, we joked on the sideline before he went out for the first drive. I said, man, this is like Poca versus Winfield. He was like, nah, there'd be more people at Poca versus Winfield. So he took it lighthearted. The kid comes every day. He prepares. The kid comes in every day with the right mindset. The one thing that I do like about Payne, he knows his abilities. He knows his strengths. He knows his weaknesses. And sometimes when you get, thrust into a starting role at whatever position, sometimes you try to do too much, or you try to be somebody that you're not. And I thought he just stayed with who he was. The plan was, hey, we're playing with Payne. We're going to have to kind of grind it out a little bit. As the game went on and we saw how they were playing coverage-wise, we felt like it was going to be more of a let's get 3 yard type of mentality. It kind of was hit or miss. We'd get 3, lose 1, get 3, lose 2. So that's part of it. I think the other part, a lot of times, and let me say this, we didn't play well on offense. I don't want anybody to think that I'm standing here saying we played well. A lot of times when you're evaluating, we don't always give enough credit to the other team. The other team was really good. They were really good. And they were really good in the right spots. If you don't have certain players and you got to be more of a box run group, well, you're running into the strength of their defense. I think, again, the biggest play of the game that shows that they got scholarship players too, they throw a fade ball on our best DB to their best wideout. Beautiful ball, beautiful catch. Micah's in great position. The guy makes play. It's football. Now, obviously, it's magnified because we're in a 3-2 bottom of the 7th World Series score. But that's football. We've done the same thing. Ali has split and run past 7 or 8 people. And everybody's like, oh, man, that's great. Well, yeah, he's a good player. We made the blocks. He got the seam. He took it to the end zone. So sometimes, when you look at it, when you go back and look and say, what are the positives? Well, is that player better than that player? If that player is better than that player, then you have to evaluate it differently. You know what I mean? Not saying it's okay not to be good, but you have to evaluate it differently. You can't evaluate Payne the same way you would evaluate Ali. You know, so you have to evaluate it differently. What you're trying to see when you're talking about, okay, how do you find the positives in that type of performance? What you're trying to see is consistency. Are you using the right technique? Are you using the right fundamentals? Is your effort and execution matching? A lot of times we had the first three, our execution wasn't matching. So, okay, you say, well, why is your execution not matching? We probably dropped 3 balls in that game. Well, we haven't really dropped many balls all year. Well, 3 balls being dropped in a 3-2 pitchers duel is magnified. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of things where, no, it wasn't atrocious where we had 15 drops. Now, we had 8 sacks. Okay, not good at all. Probably in that game, they were probably going to get 3. They're good. So we can't say when Owen Porter gets 4 sacks how great of a player Owen Porter is, but then when the other team gets a sack, how bad of a player we are. It's good football. We probably put ourselves in worse position for a lot of the sacks because now it's 3rd and 8. It's 3rd and 8, you don't have Rasheen, so are you going to run inside zone for 8 yards? No. Everybody knows that. So now the DNs widen up. The DNs think of their best pass rush move. Now your O-linemen are in a position where if the ball doesn't come out right now, you're going to be in a tough situation. Cam got limited on his mobility, you know, kind of as the game went on. That's what's something that's been saving us. You know, he wasn't able to do that as much, so now he's relying on receiver winning, great coverage, great ball. I thought he made some really good decisions not to try and force some balls because that's how the 3-2 game becomes 42-2, and then everybody's like, oh, well, you got blown out. Well, he made some good decisions. Some of those decisions cost us sacks, but it did not cost us turnovers. You know, so in a typical game, if you have a guy, we tell Cam all the time, take off, throw it away, check it down, whatever it may be. Well, if you can't do that, I don't want the option to be turn it over. You know what I mean? So there's some situations that he can learn from. There's some situations that we can learn from, obviously being limited. You don't know. We didn't know that until literally 45 minutes before the game. You know what I mean? So it's not something that you plan all week for. You're not going to have this guy. A couple guys we knew were going to be out, but we weren't sure on everybody. And then as the game goes on, you don't know that, you know, somebody's going to be limited mobility or somebody's going to get, you know, a thumbnail or whatever it may be. So you got to kind of adjust on the fly. And it's easy to say, well, why don't you just call this play? Well, it's not Madden. If you don't practice the plays, if you don't have the plays rep, you can't just draw up the old, you know, annexation of Puerto Rico because you think that's going to work. So there's some things that we can learn, you know, as coaches as far as how do we prepare for quote unquote catastrophe. You know what I mean? What's the catastrophe plan? I didn't think the game ever felt like catastrophe because it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We just didn't make enough plays. I would be interested to see if Cam throws that ball out there and we get a touchdown and it turns it to, I don't know, what would have been 10-9 at that point, something like that. I think the game changes, you know, and I think those are the plays where the ebbs and flows of the game, opportunities missed or made, are huge.
Going back to this a little bit, look at Coastal Carolina with or without McCall. What do they do on offense that's going to be challenging this week?
Yeah, a lot of people aren't giving respect to the 2 other quarterbacks because they've played a little bit and they're actually as athletic, if not, you know, in the same realm of athleticism. So they can run the read option, they can run the read zones, they can run the RPO system. I think what you lose with, you know, a guy like Grayson is just the experience. You know, he's had a lot of snaps, he's played a lot of football. The other guys have played football, not just in this, you know, arena or environment. So you're going to get, in my opinion, you're going to get the same package of plays. What you may not get is the creativity that Grayson, you know, kind of gives you or allows you to have. So what you're going to get is you're going to get more. I think the coaches will do a good job of really saying, what do these 2 guys do if Grayson can't play? What do these 2 guys do well, and let's do more of that. So we're expecting the same offensive system. You know, we're expecting the same RPO, inside zone. Obviously, Travis Trickett, you know, has a very extensive offensive background. You know, I think, again, similar, you know, schemes to what we run. And really, everybody's running the same schemes in football except Navy and Army. right? Everybody else is running some type of RPO, some type of read zone, some type of inside-outside zone. It's how you package them with the players you have. I think one thing that they do have a very good wide receiver unit. You know what I mean? So there's some areas where they can stress you with speed, some areas where they can stress you. They got, number 15 is a very big human. You know what I mean? So you talk about jump balls in the red zone, you talk about go balls, him having the physical stature to kind of overshadow most DBs. That gives you some options. So we're expecting similar schemes, kind of curtailed to the skill set of the other two guys.
Coach, I know you said you don't really have an injury update for
You
everyone.
work for FanDuel?
Huh?
You work for FanDuel?
No? I
You're
wish.
like
They'd probably
the
pay me more.
You're like the injury queen. Like, are you betting the line, or
No,
what is the
I
line?
just-
I mean, she's on it every week. I mean, it's like, hey, I need to know if it's 6.5
Did I not? I
or
prefaced this by
6.7.
saying, I know you can't give one, but it's safe to say, I mean, everybody was pretty shocked to not see Rasheen out there on Saturday. I know
Except
that
me.
was a game time decision.
except me,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that going to be another game time decision?
I don't know,
have no-
honestly, because it's one of those deals where the week of treatment will determine, ultimately, and they can fire me now. I'm not playing anybody's child that's not healthy enough to go out there and play, and I get it. Trust me, I want to win, and these players want to win more than any person in the world. I know the fans are invested, and I appreciate the fans for all their support. The players want to win way more than the fans. The coaches want to win way more than the fans. I don't see my kids until Thursday awake. Like, when I leave, they're asleep. When I get home, they're asleep. Thursday is the first time I see them for about 10 minutes before it's bedtime for Bo. Blaze, hit or miss. He sleeps when he gets ready. So the time we put in, we want to win. But I also have to be mindful of protecting people's children. And that's what you have to, okay, can he go, can he not go? If he can go and protect himself and play at the level that he's accustomed to playing at, he'll play. If not, we're going to play the next guy, whoever that may be. I don't know that on Tuesday, because that's you got to add the days up. It gets a little better today, gets a little better tomorrow, gets a little better, each day of the week, and then we'll make that decision hopefully before Saturday, based on where we were with Thursday game. That made it a little bit more difficult. If we'd have played a Saturday game, we may have had a little better chance or outcome. But when you have the quick turnaround, you lose some of that time that you go to your treatment, you go to your rehab. Mark, he's probably the best athlete in the room, and he doesn't heal in 3 days. So it takes some time. But that's kind of what we wait and see. And I try not to. I don't like to give hope. And you guys think it's a coaching ploy or trying to be secret. Everybody knows if our league can play, he's going to play. Okay, if he can't, he won't. But I try not to give hope to people and him, because he listens to these press conferences too. I try not to give hope to them. I try to give them the ability to say, Coach, I'm ready, by how I physically perform in practice, treatment, and so on.
Everybody focuses on the offense. Defensively, Coastal, though, what do they do that makes them so tough?
Yeah, you know what? I think the one kind of the underline, and they do get a lot of credit to the offense because of their players. But defensively, I think they're very stout in the core. I think their linebackers are big, physical guys that play downhill. They strike. I think their D-line is mobile. They've got some length on the edge, and I think their DBs are extremely athletic. So what that does is they play a lot of coverage that basically puts it one-on-one, and your player on my player, you got to make a play, which when you play that type of, defense, you're saying my player is as good or if not better than yours, and he's going to use his technique, and our guys got to kind of use their technique, and you see a lot of one-on-one wins by their defense. So that's kind of the strength that they have. I think with them being so strong in the core, it limits some of the variance that you see on the perimeter, because you got to block those big linebackers and D linemen in the core. So again, I think they kind of probably get overshadowed some, not by any means needed or necessary, but when you have a player like Grayson, who's been 3-time conference player of the year and done some of the things that he's done, a lot of the attention goes that way. They lost some guys from last year, but they've also replaced and brought back some guys who were playing at a high level.
Obviously, you haven't had to use him but for a couple snaps this year, but how important is it to have a backup quarterback ready in this situation when you might need him? Obviously, Cam got a little banged up Saturday, but was able to continue. But how important is it to have that guy?
Yeah, I
in the
think,
wings?
obviously, when we rep the ones and the twos get the same amount of reps. Actually, because of the way the schedule was set up, I made a change in our kind of plan. So now really the twos get double the reps the ones get because of kind of how the season has played out. Typically, you get to play some games where you can get some of the twos in game action and they kind of get, their feet wet and you can kind of see how they react. Well, we've been playing, the cardiac kids or get our face kicked in. That's been our MO right now. Either we're coming back in the fourth and winning on the last play or we get our face kicked in and we suck, right? That's what you guys write. But we haven't been able to get some of the twos in. So just like the backup quarterback position, there's some other positions. So what we've done kind of after the bye week, we kind of switched the model now to where the ones are getting their normal reps and twos are getting almost double, little over, double the reps just so they can be ready. Obviously, the quarterback is the most important position on the field. So we've been able to kind of keep getting, double reps to be prepared for whenever that situation arises. I think it's a combination of not only it's not just, okay, put this player in. It's the flow of the game. It's the checks we have in. It's the coverage reads. It's the plays we're running. It's the other people around the quarterback, right? If you take out Ali and Cam, now you're in a very unexperienced backfield once Payne needs a blow. Okay, so who tells who where to go? Who communicates with the O-line? All of those things. So you try and put multiple guys wherever you're talking about twos, you try to put them in where they're surrounded by some guys that have experience just so they can nudge them and say, hey, remember this. You try not to say, okay, here, just let the twos go play. In a situation, quarterback, linebacker, DB, whatever, where a two has to go in, we've got a plan. We're not going to, hinder the progress of the organization on either side of the ball just to play a guy and not play a guy, if that makes sense. If we ever felt like, you asked me after the game, did we feel like Cam was the best option? Yeah, he was limited mobility. He wasn't crippled. You know what I mean? So there's a difference. Where we probably didn't do a great enough job is when that happens, you got to win on the perimeter now. You can't get a tie, those type of things.
Any further questions?
All right. Well, appreciate you guys. I know everyone is excited to go down to West Virginia South. Some people are probably leaving tomorrow. Go down, show as much green as you can, and look forward to a heck of a contest against a really good opponent. So thank you guys. Look forward to seeing you down there. Go Herd.